Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is our monthly Entrepreneurial Development Institute founders webinar. So every single month we hold these live webinars with the man himself, Errol. And recently we've been featuring some of our wonderful EDI founders every single month, learning about who they are, their journey from where they were before joining the EDI group up until the point they're at now. And it's just been fantastic. I've had the pleasure of speaking with a lot of the members myself and learning from them and helping them where I can as well. And it's fantastic. If you've never seen this webinar before, there's no real structure. There's nothing planned. It's just a conversation between entrepreneurs. So if you're watching, feel free to drop some comments in the chat box on the corner. But yeah, as far as I can tell, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, which is burnout, something that's plagued me a lot over the last couple of years. And it's something that really needs to be taken care of, identified, and I can't wait to find out more from Errol, learn about what he's done to help combat it, and learn more about Vita and her journey. I'm sure she's experienced plenty of burnout in her time as a successful entrepreneur. So yeah, don't be afraid. Leave some comments, interact with the chat. We want to hear from you as well. We want to see where you're from and what you're doing in your business or business ideas. Get involved. Yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's say hello, give a warm welcome to Errol and Vita.
Well, thank you very much, Carl, what you just shared with us. The Entrepreneurial Development Institute is compounded of people that are entrepreneurs and people that want to be entrepreneurs. And what we want to do is help you on your entrepreneurial journey. And it's really a journey towards independence. And in our world today, we're not taught how to be independent. As a matter of fact, we're pushed more towards being dependents than we are independent. And in creating a lifestyle that you want to live, it requires independence. When you job, which sometimes people have to, and many people do, you're really selling yourself wholesale. You're making a contract to live your lifestyle inside what they're going to offer you. When you're an entrepreneur, you live your lifestyle on what you decide. And the 3 stages of entrepreneurialism are transitioning from being a dependent to becoming independent. The second scale of an entrepreneur is in creating a lifestyle. You decide the lifestyle that you want to live, and then you create your business to be able to afford that lifestyle. And that's how you choose in your development of an entrepreneur. That's how you choose the lifestyle that you want to live. And then the last part is scaling. If you decide you want a gigantic, then you can develop your business and create a business plan towards scaling your business and making it large. And these are different areas that you need to have different skills. Like when you start scaling your business or developing your business, you need to have people skills now. You need to start being able to train and work and teach different people. It's been a very interesting journey. And the funny thing is, for those of you who are listening, think about when you graduated from high school. Did you graduate with the skills? Did they teach you the skills during your education to become independent? And normally the answer is no. As a matter of fact, I've polled thousands of people in education systems throughout the world, and the answer is almost emphatically no. Same thing with college. You know, in my generation, if you didn't go to college, you were low. College was the thing that determined whether you were a higher class. You deserved more salary, more income, but it was still to be a dependent, to work for somebody else. And the interesting thing is, an entrepreneur learns to work for themselves, learns to create an environment in which they can grow and build their lifestyle around anything it is that they want. If you want something bad enough, you should have it. And whatever lifestyle you want to live, if you're willing to make a plan and exercise that, will surely have it. It will surely be yours. And we're going to be working through the Entrepreneurial Development Institute on teaching those skills and being able to teach people how to move through the level of dependence to independence, lifestyle, and scaling. And whatever it is that you want to achieve, we're going to try to help you achieve that. And we welcome everybody into the Founders Group. Our Founders Group right now is comprised of a limited number of people. We're only going to accept 100 as founders. And these founders, I get the opportunity to work with directly. Each month, I get to have a call with them. I get to learn about your business. I get to learn about what you want in your business. And I get to teach you entrepreneurial skills. And interestingly enough, I just like to go over the 3 main skills of an entrepreneur. The number one skill, or the number one asset of an entrepreneur, is time. We all get 24 hours in a day. And learning how to utilize that time and creating your entrepreneurial time becomes the thing that you're trying to buy back and you're trying to utilize. The second skill of an entrepreneur is nothing begins until something is sold. An idea, a concept, yourself, selling yourself to a bank, a lending institution. But salesmanship is important. Entrepreneur, we're going to be selling a product or a service. And to be able to present that product or service requires the skills of selling. And when you say, I'm not a good salesperson or I can't be a good salesperson, yes, you can. And it's specific skills. And a lot of us started out where we didn't think we could, and then we found out how easy it was. Is creativity. And this is very interesting, where you invite yourself to take limitations and pull them away and find out that there really isn't any limitations, that you can generate creativity and take away all these and be able to develop and build your business. And I get the opportunity to help people and help them develop these skills or share creativity with them that could work towards their business. And for months now, I've gotten the opportunity to work with our guest and to watch our guests go through a transition. Vita, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hello, Errol. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm very, very well. Really happy to be here and share my story with the other people who are listening.
And you're talking to us from Greece today, are you not?
Yes, I'm in Athens. Evening.
So this is very interesting. You know, Vita, we now have members in 22 countries. Isn't that amazing?
Yes. Well, I get to see them on our website, on our group, and chat with them and support each other. So, yeah,
And so why don't you share with us how you found our group and a little bit about your story, who you are, what you do.
Okay, I found the group because I was invited into it, and I had met you before at another 2 days seminar that I attended in London. I'd seen you from far. I didn't dare then to walk up to you when you were asking questions and talk to you. Then when I was invited to come in, I thought, well, this is my chance. I'm going to take it. So I joined. That's about 8 months ago, 6, 7 months ago anyway. And what I do, I have been doing for 35 years. I've been teaching Chinese medicine at my own school. I've had my clinic, seen lots and lots of patients. I've had lots of students going through me. I changed a lot in these years. The problem I had when I came to you, if you remember, was that I had been working independently, as you say. So I didn't have a boss, but I never realized I had a business. I never realized that I could do good to people, give to people, and at the same time have a well-run business. So I was struggling with it. I was doing everything on my own. I was getting very, very tired. I felt that I had to give from my own all the time. And so when I came to you, then my question was, shall I leave it? Shall I close the school and the clinic? And you said to me then, Vita, you have not stopped loving what you've been doing all your life. You're just tired. And it really clicked. It really clicked that the love I have for what I do is been driving me for all these years, and it's still very much part of me. And that I had to do something with my tiredness. I had to start giving tasks to other people. You explained to me the difference between creativity and productivity, and that really stuck with me. That my task was to be creative and not to do things that other people could do easily. And I started to delegate, and I started to really do what I do best, create. And then you told me, put it online. And this is what I've been doing. And you don't know this. Today, I finished the online. It's done.
Well, yeah. I want to compliment you on that. And the interesting thing was when we first started working together, you were ready to cash out a business that you had put a great deal of your life and half your life into. And the reason was that you were just tired. You had done the same thing over and over again, and you had burned yourself out. And this happens to a lot of people. And what you'd really forgotten was your passion. And we spent a little time talking about why you started the business. And also some of the success stories of your business, which revitalized your passion. And today, in today's market, alternative therapy is bigger than it was when you started 35 years ago, and more accepted. There's more people that are interested in what you are doing now, doing then. And you hadn't realized that because you were stuck in one little rut. What do you think caused you to get stuck there?
Well, several things. I was very high up in the world of Chinese medicine when I lived in London until 91, and I had cooperated with various big names. And then I think my problem, Errol, is that I don't want to be seen too much. So I started to have this kind of stage fright where I had to take responsibility for what I was delivering in public, too much in public. So when I moved down to Greece, part of that was that I want to do my own thing. almost as if I was working from my kitchen rather than from a stage. And I did that, but it was very tiring because I cut off from a lot of colleagues I had in the UK, and when I was teaching around Europe, I just cut off. I retreated almost and created a kind of very private place. But that complex is something that I'm actually healing because of your presence in my life, because you're showing me that what I need, I know I need to share and give. So it is not about me, it's also about me, but it's also about what I have. I really want to share with other people, and I need to do that. So I'm coming out of this den I've been hiding in for years.
Well, the interesting thing is when you kind of reignited yourself, you also found people that were so interested in what you were doing. The door actually reopened for you, didn't it?
Yes, that was the magic of it, that I realized that the minute I changed my own mindset and the way I was looking at myself, suddenly everything started to click into place. And I had offers of, not of teaching. I've had many offers of teaching, but the offers of teaching were always a bit exploitative. So I was determined not to teach for other people anymore. But offers of cooperation, like I found 5 new partners, and people who asked me to run through my institution courses that I'd never thought I could run. And yes, and opening new profit centers, which are going to help people a lot, like retreats that I can give, and people offering places and land to build retreats and everything. So it's like the whole heaven has opened.
You know, one of the things that we looked at your business more as a business and we gave it a business structure to what you were doing, and opened additional profit centers that you could do during the business. And one of the things that you wanted to create was passive income.
Yes.
Where you could be teaching 24 hours, 7 days a week, digitally. And that's what you just launched. Is that right?
That's right. The school is out. Just launched. Well, it's the webmaster gave it back to me last night. So what I'm doing now, I am sending it to some people to test the various things. But basically, it's out. In my heart, it's out, and in the mind of the people who are seeing it, it's out. So, and we start classing on the 15th of December. We're going to start broadcasting properly, and have the first.
Excellent. And you also found out that you don't have limitations.
No. The whole world is open. Now I have people who have asked to join from the UK. I have people who have asked to join from Germany, from Croatia, from Greece, of course, where I'm most known. So when it will be out, and people will know more about it, I think that people will just come in, and
So all of a sudden, the business is renewed and growing with new interest, more interest than you thought you had.
It's renewed. Certainly, it's renewed. Even writing the notes for the online class has been a way of revisiting the knowledge I had before and putting in some of it into new contexts. But yes, what is changed is that by teaching online, the lessons I've made, I don't get tired. I'm just full of enthusiasm. It's just like,
so you're now inspired, it seems like.
Yeah.
And where you lost your inspiration, and Vita, this isn't this is not uncommon. And what happens is people get, and all of us, we get into a day-to-day routine where we get into the routine, and if we're not having a plan and having things to do and understanding the difference between productivity and activity, we get really hung up on activity. We don't do productivity, so money isn't coming through the front door, and the activity burns us out.
Yeah, and this is what I did.
What you're involved now is in productivity. And for those of us who are listening for the first time, the difference between activity and productivity actually rings the cash register. So at the end of a productivity, you've got cash flow, where activity is more your detailed work, getting your details things done. And activity, I classify as red files, right, Vita?
Yes.
And then productivity is green files. And what I asked you is to be more involved in your green files than your red files.
That's right.
And try to hand off the red file stuff. So with productivity, you were involved in what you enjoy.
Yes.
Where the activity was work.
Yes. And I was more creative. I mean, this is, I think, what got me out of the burnout is becoming more creative because of being aware of my productivity. That was the main task I had. And I looked back and I looked at how much time I spent in activity that I also am not good at, like accountant's work and making website and It was just day and night work, and I could not even create anymore. So I was dying inside.
Yeah. It's very interesting to get stuck in a rut, and it closes in on us.
Yeah.
And you forget about what you were really interested in. I mean, what you do is very important. You know, for those of us, why don't you just capsulize what you do and what your course is?
Well, what I do is I teach Chinese medicine. I treat as well. My real passion is teaching. And my main interest is not so much to, of course, I teach the theory of Chinese medicine, which, you know, it's ancient and more modern and different authors and different doctors. And that is a theoretical side. But what I'm really passionate about is about forming practitioners, because it's not enough to know theory or how to handle needles or how to prescribe herbs, to be able to relate to other people and especially to patients. So that is my real passion, to see my students coming in green, like, you know, adolescents, they don't know anything, they just want to treat people, and see them after 3 years come out with being a developed people, developed as human, in the human sense. The heart is developed, their brain is sharper, the questions they ask are more pertinent, and they get faster to the diagnosis and to decide what treatment to give.
You know, through the years, it's been interesting, hasn't it, to where you see where people's interest in alternative medicine has developed. Because the medicine that you teach has more history than the medicine that is practiced in North America.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
in the Asian countries, it would be standard medicine. Medicine is new medicine, 75 years old, where some of your medicine is millions of years old.
Yes, that's true. There is also something else that I think it's important that we say here, that Chinese medicine has been changing throughout the centuries. And the last centuries has seen it becoming closer and closer to the allopathic Western medicine because of the complex that the
now, when you say closer and closer, meaning the therapy is more used now or more accepted?
No, meaning that a lot of the old meanings has been changed to fit more a Western model of things. So if you read a very ancient books and learn what ancient doctors said, and even not so ancient, but like 2 centuries ago, there is a huge difference between what was taught then and what is being taught today. And there are some really good books that tell about the history of how Chinese medicine has been changed in the last century. But having said that, it still remains a much more complete and holistic medicine than Western medicine, which is only symptomatic.
Well, one of the big differences, my understanding, is that you try to find the cause of the problem instead of the symptom.
Yes. We try to find the common denominators among symptoms so that all the symptoms are treated by treating this common denominator. So you have a patient coming for headache, but when they leave after, say, 10 sessions, they got rid of stomachache, dizziness, insomnia, because we treat this common denominator, this kind of common root of all the problems they have.
I think I should go get some.
Yeah, Canada's lots of great practitioners.
That a girl. And since you've been involved in our group, you've met a lot of people, and that has inspired you as well.
Yes. One of the best things about being an EDI founder is meeting all these other incredible people. And I've seen some of them going through crisis. I've seen some of them coming out of crisis. I've seen some of them standing there encouraging us all with their success and always being very generous with their time. I've known that if I wanted to have some extra help, I could reach out for any one of the people there. For instance, with webinars and technology, that is my really weak point. I know that I'm part of a community, and that really helps. And I know that it's not a community of sort of crude businessmen hunting for money, but a community of people who wants to, yes, develop their own business, but at the same time also help others. And we are doing that.
And we have a common cause.
And we have a common cause.
We want to teach entrepreneurialism. We want, our goal, our big goal is to be able to teach children how to become independent.
Yes.
And it took you years to become independent yourself. And really, from our generation, Vita, because you and I come from the same generation, we're the same age, it was pushed on us to get a job. To be independent and an entrepreneur was not a good thing to do because there was no security in it. The security was all found in a job. And now that's reversed, isn't it?
Yes. My parents were professors, and when I told them that I didn't want to do what they did, my dad cried. And he said, "You cannot do this to me. You have to become a professor as well." And because it's secure. You are going to be paid month in, month out, summer and Christmas. And sometimes I remember these words at the beginning when I had my school, and summer came and patients did not turn up. And I was thinking, if I'd done what my father said, I would be paid now in August. But there is a huge difference between being on my own, independent, and creating my work rather than being told what to do.
And the interesting thing is with the group, and you're very active, which we really appreciate you very much. And with the group, you have support, don't you?
Loads, loads. It can be just a word, or sometimes a smile. Sometimes longer talks. We had talks with some of the girls.
I was talking about
healing.
you've frozen a little bit, but the question was, with the group, you now have a level of support that assists you.
Yes, huge support. Huge support. We meet up also outside the group. Sometimes we had webinars with some of the other healers in the group and thought of doing something together. There are more healers coming in. It's very interesting because there are lots and lots of healers coming in. And at some point I can see that this project will evolve into something much bigger. And helping you.
What would you say to a person that might be experiencing burnout?
Well, I'll tell them that, first of all, that they must get a daddy mentor to help them out. Somebody who knows more and knows better. And then I would tell them that they need to find their creativity again, trust themselves and trust what their heart says, and learn to delegate as much as possible of what is not needed.
The interesting thing about learning to delegate is very managerial, and it depends on what level we are in our entrepreneurialism, if we have the ability to be able. But if you're a lone wolf in business for yourself with no help, then you have to understand what is productivity. And, as I was talking to you, is do your activity during non-productive time. In other words, get up in the morning and do your productivity when your energy is strong, and leave activity for when you couldn't be doing any productivity. When you can't bring in cash, then do your activity until you can delegate it. We've been in business for some time, and we have an infrastructure, so we can pass off but the interesting thing was, you weren't doing it. You weren't passing it off, and you were letting it pull you down.
Yes, yes. I didn't have anyone to help me, actually, for years. I did everything on my own, absolutely everything.
Now, was that an attitude? Was that because you felt you could do it better, and you didn't want to turn it over to somebody else? What was the cause for that?
Last time we had our chat, our private chats, you made me notice one thing, which for me has been a treasure. You told me you're a bit inflexible. And I realized that to delegate, you need to understand also that the people in front of you are not you. And that the people in front of you will tend to do their own things. And that to be a leader means to have a dialogue with them and not to barge in and say, do it my way. So I've been actually doing this week, and it has been very fruitful.
The interesting thing too is a part of burnout I found is also overwhelm. And when you get overwhelmed, it's because you're trying to keep too much in your head. And normally there isn't a structured plan that you're following. So you keep things in your head, and you're trying to remember what to do, and you just get pulled off track.
Yes.
And I've spoken to you about on track and off track, and how to identify when you're off track and when you're on track, and also how to book it. Because if you want to be off track and do something else, then you book it out and you say, I'm off track now. I'm doing other things that I want to do that aren't related to my business. And then when you're back in your business, you're on track and you have your game plan. And we even experienced that in the last call when we talked about you were relying on too much on people that weren't doing the job. You were taking round pegs and trying to hammer them into a square hole.
Yes, yes.
And the person wasn't doing the job, and you contacted them and said, "You're not doing the job. I want you to do the job." "Okay, I'll do the job. When will you get it done by?" "I'll get it done by this time." And then it wasn't done. And then you would give them another chance. And you were just trying to, and understanding just that little tool that I gave you to manage people has been very useful to you, I think.
Oh yes, that was really, really important, because I started to write a list, and that was funny. I started writing a list with round pegs and square pegs and round holes. And I thought, how many of these people are not actually fitting? And I'm trying to really push that. And now I see what I do. I think there is a side of me which wants to change the others, to make them fit. And it's not possible. It's just not possible.
And it takes a lot of energy to try to get somebody that's not suited to do something to do something.
Yes. Exactly.
And the level of frustration that you had, and you weren't getting what you wanted done.
No.
You weren't getting your task completed.
No.
And it was frustrating you.
Yeah, this is also one of the reasons for the burnout, because one of the reasons why I ended up doing a lot of stuff on my own was because I was trying to do exactly that, get people who were not suited to fit what I wanted, and eluding myself that they were suited, but they were not. And now that I have people who are really suited to be with me, it's such a relief. They sometimes tell me beforehand what I want.
And the interesting thing is, that's a skill. And it was teachable. I could teach you. And it was learnable. You learned it.
Yes.
And then it's usable, and you got results.
Yes, yes, yes.
And now you're more inspired about your business than you've ever been.
Well, I'm more inspired about my business, and I trust myself more in business because I know how to do it now, and I didn't know how to do it then, although I've been in business for 35 years.
Isn't it amazing? And I found that too. And a lot of businesses, for those people out there that are in business, need an analyzation. And we went through your business from top to bottom, and we analyzed it. And when we finished our analysis, we found out, and we actually started from a different place than most people start from. We started from profit centers. In other words, and a lot of people don't do this. This is not standard business coaching 101. This is a person that has been in business that understands it. And we went into your profit centers and built from profit center out.
Yes.
And that's where we found that you could design an online program, and it could be teachable, and you could create a profit center out of it that would be more of a retirement type profit center, or a profit center that you could be in any place in the world and activate it.
Yes, yes. And that was really liberating because, as I said, one of my main passions is working with people. And the idea of spending 2 weeks, 3 weeks with them, going through the practical side of what I teach and see them grow in 3 weeks and change in 3 weeks is something that really attracts me. And in a
that's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as exciting as healing somebody.
Yes.
When somebody comes to you and they're sick, and your process helps them get well, there's a great deal of satisfaction with that, isn't there?
Yes, but also with students, because students are like, they're not exactly sick people, but there are people who are in a process of transition, as you want, you know, from not being therapists to becoming therapists. And to become therapists, you need to understand also where you have pain and where you need to change. So working with students is very much like therapy. And
also creating the curriculum that they can learn and they can teach, so they can actually create a living for themselves as well, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you know, it seems to me that you have a multiple thing. Number one, you're teaching people how to heal themselves and heal other people. Number two, you're teaching them how to create a business for themselves.
Yes.
And make a living and be able to expand. And as I'm working on my book, Changing the World, One Entrepreneur at a Time, as I work with you and you work with thousands of people, and those thousands of people could end up working with hundreds of thousands of people, which could end up working with millions of people. And all I've done is worked with one.
That's right.
And it's very exciting when we talk about that, and we talk about, and that only happens in an entrepreneurial environment, because the people that are not entrepreneurs, they know how to punch a clock. I go in at 9 o'clock and I leave at 5. And the real thing about an employee is they're normally not appreciated as much as if they do a great job and there's somebody next to them doing a good job, they're appreciated the same. Where in an entrepreneurial setting, if you're doing a great job, you make more money.
Yes, and you also respect yourself quite a lot because of the quality you offer.
Self-respect, that's an interesting thing. Vita, how has that expanded since you've been involved in the group?
Well, you know, I am, you know, I'm old. I'm 68 years old, as you can. But
please stop that. Don't be old.
No, you know what I mean is that I'm like a kid. You know, for me, it's like I'm kind of an adolescent now, and I'm dreaming, and I'm no way I'm not gonna sort of, you know, stop and sit down and just take a pension. Because I know you have taught me, and the group has taught me that I have value. I am a valuable person, and I have valuable things that I need to give out and to share with other people, and that gives me a lot of self-respect
and satisfaction.
And satisfaction.
And that's big. That's huge. That's huge, and remuneration.
And remuneration.
Because the money comes.
Yes.
And it's been amazing working on these projects with you, because look, and watching you, you know, and you know, the old story, it says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's not true with us. We're learning new stuff every day. Yes. And for those of you who desire to build a great business, join us, come with us, and we'll show you. We'll evaluate your business, and we'll put you on a game plan to be able to create a bigger and better business, and to be able to create the lifestyle that you want. And the only thing that I like is desire. When the people have the desire to want to do something great, because I would rather do something great and fail than succeed at doing nothing at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
yes.
the service that you give is a tremendous service, Vita. And, you know, sometimes you get so stuck in what you're doing that you forget about the appreciation of why you started doing this in the first place.
Yes, yes, yes. And also, you know, it's that thing about not thinking that I'm not good enough at what I'm doing. But now I'm cured. I don't believe that anymore.
Oh, wonderful. Gee whiz. And you think about that, how many years you went through the struggle on that to be able to come out this end now. And if the group had anything to do with that, I am so grateful.
Yes, the group is what changed it.
And you know, the one thing is you've been a wonderful networker. You've met with a lot of the people in the group. You've socialized with them, and you have developed yourself in that fashion as well, because there's tremendous information out there. And what we have to decide is our limitations. And if you keep listening to me, you have very little limitation, don't you?
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact,
yeah.
You don't have any limitations.
Exactly.
The only limitations we have, ladies and gentlemen, are the ones we put on ourselves. And normally they're not common. They're not common. And the interesting thing, when you go back to the template that I gave you, Vita, yes. And the template starts with goals, and then your mission statement, and then you start your outline. And this was just, for you, it was just pieces to the puzzle that you were putting answers into, and you never really had a curriculum, a form that you could follow through and say, oh boy, here's where I'm at. This is what I need to do.
Yes.
And the template helps that, doesn't it?
It does. It helps you structure the vision that you have, but it's like bitty, and everything fell into place when I started working with the template.
Do you see visually now better than you've seen before?
Oh, tons better. Tons better. The thing is that since working with you, some things have become like a second skin. So it is as if I immediately know when I don't respect some of the parts of the templates, for instance, because I take shortcuts. And there is a voice inside of me that says, hey, you know, you take a shortcut, you don't plan for tomorrow, watch out. So even if I'm already in bed in the night, I get up and plan, for instance.
You know, for years, I kept a pad next to my bed. And the reason is, too many times I came up with a good idea and said I would remember it in the morning.
And it gone.
And then it was gone. And I was thinking, oh, that was such a good one. What can I do? Now I write it down. Then I go back, and you know what? I sleep more comfortably after I do that.
Me too. If I have insomnia, I know that there is something bugging me. And then when I get up and write what I want to do the next day, then I feel like my heart is light and I go back to bed and sleep. So this is, I'm actually cured.
What you just talked about, so something that you didn't do. You didn't take things out of your head and put them on paper in front of you. You tried to keep them in your head. And ladies and gentlemen, that is another area for burnout.
Yeah.
Because when you can't remember things or you just forget, but if you have your things to do list, and like Vita said, before you go to bed at night, you plan your next day, you'll rest easier. You'll sleep better. Am I right, Vita?
Yes, the other thing is that when I get up in the morning, I know that I forgot the brilliant idea I had the night before, and I feel really frustrated. And that was part of the irritation I was carrying with me, like, but that was so brilliant. What was it? And it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
So it's very simple things.
You know, I'm the big note taker. I take notes all the time from every one of us that when we chat. And the reason is I learned from Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill said, it's magical when you take it out of your head and put it on paper. And that's the same thing with our goals and our desires and keeping ourselves on track towards what we want is keeping what we want in front of us. I know a lot of people out there maybe use a vision board, but if your vision board isn't passionate inside you, it's just pictures.
Yeah.
It has to mean something. It has to mean something. Vita, have you been a journaler? Do you journal?
Yes, I do. I've journaled for years. I have journaled since I was 13 until I was 35. Then I stopped and I started again 2 years ago.
You know, my philosophy is if you live your life, it's worth documenting.
Yes.
And everybody is a genius. Everybody has value. Every one of us deserves what it is that we want. And the interesting thing that I found, Vita, and same thing with you, is when you work on the why, and what we did with you is we went back to the inception of why you wanted to do your business in the first place. Yeah. And it was, I guess I could say a metamorphosis, because it was like we reinvented the butterfly. Yes. First, we put you back in your cocoon, and then you evolved, and now you're evolving even in a new venue. We're taking on this internet, this new venue of online digital, and it suits you.
Yes.
And it suits you very well now.
Yeah,
and look at the enthusiasm in your face. I mean, you know, since I've known you, and but since I've known you, you've been happier.
Yes, I have.
You've been happier, and you've enjoyed what you're doing, and you're a fabulous teacher. And I want to congratulate you on building such a wonderful business that has changed lives for years and now is going to change even more. Vita, congratulations.
Thank you. I owe it to you, a lot of that. I owe it to you.
Well, thank you very much for saying that, but I actually owe it to you. Okay. I'm grateful for having the opportunity to work with you and the opportunity to be able to give you some of the tools that you're utilizing to be able to help an abundance of people. And that's what we do here at the Entrepreneurial Institute. You know, we want to develop things. You know, there was a bad man that said, give me a generation of people and I'll rule the world. And can you imagine if he was successful, we would be conducting this in German right now. The man was Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And he said he could rule the world with a generation of people. And he did. He almost did it. Now we want to teach children entrepreneurialism.
Yes.
And that is what our end goal is. And while we're doing that, we're developing the syllabuses through people like yourself who are helping us develop these syllabuses that are sincere and really work. Because the sad thing is there's so many people on the internet now that say, oh, I have a magic panacea and you'll make $10,000 a month. And it's not true.
No.
It's not true. You know, there are certain skills that you need, and there is nothing more valuable than experience. Is it not?
I agree. I agree.
You have experience of so many years of healing people that some things are just natural to you, where you have to be able to teach them to others.
That's right. And the aim is that they become natural to others as well. Yeah.
Vita, is there anything else you would like to say?
Well, no, what I really want to say, because I'm so grateful for where I've been in these months, is to invite all the people who really feel like I felt before to join our group, because I think it's been heaven sent present for me, and for other people I met there. And I want to thank you, by the way, with all my heart.
Thank you very much. For those of you who are interested in joining us, we charge a monthly fee of $200, and I do a personal phone call with the founders. So there will be a limited number, and I work directly with my founders, and I talk to them once a month. We meet for an hour. You set the schedule yourself. We have a program that you can schedule your calls. And then we do a webinar once a month. And we have so many successful people that we're having the opportunity to do these webinars now with you being the featured guest, somebody like Vita. And we've done it. Carl was a guest. We've had Sebastian, who is an amazing guy that was a guest. And we're really learning together. And together, as a united group, we're going to change the world.
Yes.
Vita, thank you so much for being with us. Carl, I want to thank you for being our host today. I'd like to thank Ty, who is my assistant, and I'd like to get him more involved in these. And also, any questions that you have, you can pose to Ty, and Ty will get them to us, and we'll make sure you get an answer to your question. We're about productivity. We're about you getting results. Not me, but you. Vita, again, thank you for being a guest here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Errol. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. We will be up again next month. Ty will organize that call, and Carl and Ty will be the hosts of our next call. Vita, thank you. You were a wonderful contributor. I can't wait to see your online program. It's going to be phenomenal, I know. And we're going to heal people, both financially and physically.
Yes, done.
Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye. How was that?